汇集天下大事，聚焦华人热点。西雅图中文电台网络电视。
各位来参加今晚的募款餐会。I am deeply honored to have so many friends and supporters here today. I greatly appreciate that you have taken the time to come here and to learn about my campaign. 5 months ago, I made a decision to launch my campaign to become a state representative, and it was not an easy decision. I have 3 young daughters that I just love being with. 3 young daughters. I understood that the campaign and the service in Olympia several months a year would mean less time with them. I also have a thriving law practice, and running for office meant that I would have to stop taking on new clients for a little while. And I was a political newcomer. But this was an open seat, and we are facing some important and difficult problems in the state legislature. Problems that are fundamentally about what kind of society and what kind of future we want. And I saw the opportunity there, and I saw that the legislature needed someone with the skills and perspective that I could bring, and so I decided to serve. The reason I really want to is because for far too long, we watched our society drift in the direction of less opportunity for too many people, and we need to reverse that. I believe government has a rightful and important role to play as an equalizer of opportunity, and it must fulfill that role. Equalizing opportunity starts with a strong and fully funded public education system. As one of my heroes, Governor Gary Locke, liked to say, education is the great equalizer. Because giving a kid a good education is the single best thing you can do to make sure they have as much chance as anybody else to succeed. And we've seen public education become less and less adequately funded over the years. And the quality of education a kid can get in this state varies far too much based on the wealth of the school district and the wealth of the parents of each particular school. My 3 daughters are in the Seattle public school system. As the child of immigrant parents, there's my daughter actually, one of her at school. As the child of immigrant parents, and let me thank them, David and Eva, for all the sacrifices they made for me. I too relied on a public elementary school system to give me a foundation for success. We need to make sure every kid in Washington has access to a fully funded, quality public education to allow them to succeed. We also need to make higher education more affordable and reduce the burden of student debt. 40 years ago, when 72% of the cost of public education, higher education, was covered by the government, a student could work a 14-week summer job at minimum wage and earn enough to cover a full year's tuition at UW in-state. Today, with the government only covering about 35% of that cost, that same student would have to work for nearly 9 months for that, which is just not possible. And the difference comes as student debt. And the problem is only made worse when our public universities fail to meet the needs of our students. To take just one example, demand for computer science courses now so far exceeds availability that students in some of our state schools may need 6 years to get a computer science degree, compounding the debt that they're taking on. We need to expand those programs to fulfill the growing demand in these fields, and just imagine the benefits from that. More of the tech sector jobs filled with people who are already here, and reducing the need for additional housing and creating higher paying jobs for our residents. Now, I'm also running because I strongly believe we need to protect the most vulnerable in our society. And I've been serving for many years on the board of an organization called API Chaya, which helps people and families impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. At API Chaya, we help survivors to escape from their oppression, recover from that trauma, and rebuild their lives. I've helped grow that organization over the years, and we now serve 4 times as many people as when I started. But the unfortunate truth is that there are always more people that we need to serve. As a state, we need to ensure that people, especially children, but all of the most vulnerable in our society, are not deprived of their potential, whether as a result of violence or oppression, or as a result of homelessness or mental illness, or disability, or loss of health coverage, where medical bills can be the #1 cause of financial ruin for people. We need to renew our consensus that we are all in this together, and to focus on making our society work better for everyone. I'm also running because I believe that people of color, including Asian Americans, need a voice at the table. We are severely underrepresented in the state legislature, and we're a community that has not always been treated fairly, and that's why we need that kind of representation. We're all too aware of our country's shameful evacuation of Japanese Americans during World War II, and we're also too aware of our country's Chinese Exclusion Act, which prohibited Chinese immigration and prevented Chinese women from joining their husbands in this country. The result was that the Chinese male-to-female ratio in the late 1800s was 30-1. And that kept Chinese men, laborers, unrooted and able to move around to work, and it limited our population. Even as laws became less discriminatory, we still dealt with a society that caricatured and stereotyped us. And even today, our minority-run small businesses still feel that government is not fair to them, as transportation projects affect those businesses without enough being done to reduce that disruption, and as lawlessness is often tolerated in neighborhoods where our businesses tend to be. It's important for us to have representatives in government who will listen to our community's concerns and give them voice. The 43rd District is one of the few where we have a good opportunity to elect a person of Asian and Chinese descent, which would dramatically improve the diversity of our legislature. I'm also running because the legislature needs someone who can get things done. Let me tell you a bit about what I do for a living. I call my specialty complex litigation. And people often ask, well, what kind of subject do you deal with? Well, we call it that because I don't sell my prior familiarity with particular subject areas. What I sell is my ability to manage complex cases, and part of my job is diving into new subject areas all the time, learning them really well, understanding each side's best arguments that they have, and advocating strongly for a position that can succeed. But I also do that in a way that maintains a courteous and respectful relationship with the people I strongly disagree with. Because in the end, the best result is often one of compromise. To achieve that, you have to separate the person from the position, and you have to be able to work with people that you don't see eye to eye with. Part of my practice is also preparing cases for very different audiences. Sometimes my cases are here in Seattle, but more often they're in places that are very different, such as rural Texas. I've learned to understand the mindset of people who think very differently from me and the people I know, and to advocate from a perspective that they will understand. And that's a skill that I think we need in the legislature. We are all too aware of the partisan divides that limit what gets accomplished in Olympia. But we are facing hard problems where a simple majority is not going to solve it. It will take someone who is used to working hard, learning new subjects well, understanding the perspective of people across the aisle, having very different outlook to get things done. Now, I'm not alone in running for this 43rd District seat. This is the first time in 10 years that our district has had an open seat up for election. And many people have decided to run, so it will be a race. But the support we've received so far has been truly amazing. First, our volunteers. They've been fantastic. In fact, today's event was the result of a huge team effort of more than a dozen volunteers. Thank you very much to them. But so many people have joined our campaign and given truly over 1,000 hours of time to get our message out. You've helped with mailings, acted as ambassadors for the campaign, and knocked on doors with me. I'm honored by the support we've built in this district. I've been dedicating as much time as I can to directly contacting voters, knocking on doors, holding neighborhood meet and greets, where I talk with people about their concerns. That's pictures of us door knocking. And our message is resonating. We're connecting with people and getting pledged votes. We're even getting tweets from people that we've talked with. Here's one of the tweets, for example. So, Dan Shih dropped by for a chat. He let my kitten gnaw his finger. He's got my vote. So, you connected in the ways that you can, apparently. In addition to Twitter, we're putting up yard signs every day in front of new supporters' homes. And we're also getting some key endorsements from elected and community leaders. You've heard about some of those, but there are many more who have leaders who have endorsed our campaign, and I'm honored for their support as well. And financial support for the campaign is unmatched. Something approaching 700 individuals have contributed so far. That's more than any other campaign, and in fact, I understand that we may have more people who have contributed to our campaign than the rest of the field combined. So I'm so honored for so many different people to be supporting us. And we're about 3/4 of the way toward raising what we'd like to get us through the primary election in August. Where does the money go? It mostly goes into direct voter contact. As much time as we're spending knocking on doors, we can't contact everybody that way. At any given time, only about 1/3 of the people are at home. Many people live in secure apartments or condos where we can't get in. And so we're holding meets and greets in those areas, receptions, so we can meet people. But for those we still don't reach, we're going to be getting mailings out and other messages to those voters to build on the name recognition that we've already gotten from word of mouth, endorsements, the media, and all of those yard signs. Now I know that many of you do not consider yourself active in politics. I know quite a few of you have never made a political contribution until today. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for taking that leap. Our state requires a lot of work to make sure that we fulfill the promise of opportunity to our residents and especially to the next generation. It won't be easy work, but my pledge to you is that I will be working hard and building relationships across the state and across the aisle to get things done. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. 谢谢大家支持我. And thank you for believing in our shared vision for a better society and for wanting to help make that happen. Thank you.
谢谢大家，谢谢非常感谢施兆伟先生给我们的精彩。浪人烽火何时收？成王败寇惊东流，蜡炬残，泪难干。江山为了红颜酒。别离，故人却又别离，多红颜难去，不知此心可寄。红颜酒，任凭斗转星移，唯不变此情悠悠。浪烟烽火何时收？成王败寇惊东流，蜡炬已残，泪难干。江山为了红颜酒。
们。